Imagine opening your mailbox to find a letter that turns your world upside down, a $680,000 mortgage you never signed for, a foreclosure threat looming, and your credit score shredded all, thanks to your own sister. Now picture the twist: your parents knew and begged you to stay silent to protect the family. I'm Sophie Bennett, and this is my story of betrayal, a silent war for justice, and a revenge so brutal, it left my sister and her dreams in ruins. You won't believe how I turned the tables. I'm Sophie Bennett, 29, living in Boise, Idaho, a charming suburb where the air smells of pine and neighbors wave from their porches. My life was the kind of steady success I'd worked hard to build. A graphic designer at a local ad agency, a cozy 2-bedroom bungalow with a wraparound porch, and a paid-off Subaru Outback that got me through snowy winters. My credit score was a pristine 785, the result of years of budgeting, skipping vacations, and saying no to impulse buys like that leather jacket I'd the ID last fall. I even had a side gig designing logos for small businesses. The extra cash, funding my love for hiking and craft beer. My family was my foundation, or so I thought. My parents, Greg and Carol Bennett, lived 15 miles away in Meridian, in the split-level house where I grew up, with its sagging roof and a backyard where Dad still grilled steaks every Sunday. Dad was a retired mechanic, his hands always smudged with grease from tinkering with old cars, while Mom ran a part-time florist shop, her green thumb turning our yard into a riot of tulips. They were the kind of parents who'd stay up late helping with homework, who'd cheer at my high school art shows, who taught me that hard work beats luck every time. Then there was my older sister, Chloe, 32, the family's golden child. Chloe was a whirlwind tall, with cascading auburn hair and a smile that could sell anything. She'd always been the dreamer, chasing big ideas while I kept my feet on the ground. Her ventures included a failed cupcake bakery, a short-lived online jewelry store, and a stint as a motivational speaker that netted her a handful of YouTube subscribers. Each flop came with a new excuse: a bad location, bad partners, bad timing, but Mom and Dad never wavered. Chloe's got vision, Dad would say, his voice thick with pride. Mom would nod, convinced her daughter was one deal away from stardom. I was the reliable one, the one who showed up on time, paid my share, and never rocked the boat. I didn't mind much. I loved my family, quirks and all. We'd gather for Sunday dinners at Mom and Dad's, crowding around their oak table for Dad's steaks, Mom's mashed potatoes, and Chloe's latest pitch for some life-changing venture. I'd roll my eyes at her stories, but I'd laugh, too, because that's what families do. They tease, they support, they stick together, or so I thought. Growing up, Chloe and I had been close. Despite our differences, she'd taught me to ride a bike, sneaking me candy when Mom wasn't looking, cheering louder than anyone at my college graduation. But there were cracks. Even then, Chloe had a habit of bending the truth, of promising things she couldn't deliver. When I was 17, she borrowed $150 from my babysitting money for a concert ticket deal that never happened. She swore she'd pay me back, but she never did. I let it go. Family, right? That was Chloe, charming, reckless, always forgiven. It was a crisp October morning in 2024, the kind where the leaves turned gold and the air carried a hint of frost. I was sorting through mail at my kitchen counter: utility bill, a coupon for a local brewery, the usual, when I spotted an envelope from Horizon Bank. I didn't bank with them, so I figured it was a mistake, but my name was typed in bold, and the word "final notice" stamped in red made my pulse quicken. I tore it open, and my knees buckled. The letter was a foreclosure warning for a $680,000 mortgage on a property in Eagle, an upscale suburb west of Boise. I'd missed 5 payments of $7,800 each, and the bank was moving to seize the collateral, my house. Attached was a property tax bill for $11,500, due in 20 days, addressed to me. The property, a 4,800 square foot mansion with 5 bedrooms, a hot tub, and a 4-car garage. I'd never seen it, never signed for it, never even fantasized about owning something so lavish. My heart thudded as I read my social security number, my driver's license details, and a signature that looked like mine but wasn't too sharp, too precise. Panicked, I checked my credit report. My score, once 785, was now 460. My screen was a nightmare: inquiries from banks I'd never heard of, a new credit card with a $12,000 balance I hadn't opened, and that monstrous $680,000 mortgage staring back at me. I called Horizon Bank, my hands trembling, navigating their infuriating automated menu, until I reached a human. "This is Mark. How can I assist you?" The rep's voice was calm, maddeningly so. "There's a mortgage in my name for $680,000, I said, my voice shaking. "I didn't take it out. This is a mistake." Mark put me on hold for 38 minutes, the hold music looping like a taunt. When he returned, his tone was unchanged. "Ms. Bennett, the mortgage was approved in May 2024. The documentation is in. Order your signature, driver's license, social security number, everything." "I didn't sign anything," I shouted, my voice echoing in my quiet kitchen. "Someone stole my identity." "You'll need to file a dispute and provide evidence of fraud," Mark said, as if reciting a script. "The paperwork appears legitimate." I hung up, my head spinning. Evidence of fraud. How do you prove you didn't do something? I imagined foreclosure notices piling up, movers hauling my furniture to the curb, my neighbors watching as my life unraveled. The tax bill was the final blow, $11,500 I didn't have, for a mansion I didn't own. I called my best friend, Jenna Larson, a paralegal who'd been my confidant since our college days at Boise State. Jenna was sharp, sarcastic, and didn't mince words. "Sophie, this screams identity theft," Jenna said, her voice urgent. "Freeze your credit with all three, Buras, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion right now, file a police report, and get a lawyer. This is serious." I spent the next 3 hours on the phone, locking down my credit and changing every password, bank accounts, email, even my Etsy shop. My mind raced through possibilities: a data breach, a hacker, some scammer in a basement halfway across the world. But deep down, a sick feeling grew. The paperwork was too personal, too precise. Someone close had betrayed me. The next day, I drove to my parents' house in Meridian. The 15-mile drive down I-84 was a blur, my hands gripping the steering wheel as I rehearsed what I'd say. I needed their support, their outrage, their promise to help me fight. I brought the foreclosure notice, the tax bill, my credit report, and the folder of bank statements, clutching them like a lifeline. When I pulled into their driveway, the sight of their house-faded brick, tulips in bloom, the old swing on the porch made my chest ache. This was home, where we'd built snowmen, argued over board games, celebrated birthdays with moms, lopsided cakes. Surely, they'd be as horrified as I was. Mom opened the door, her apron dusted with flour from baking bread. "Sophie, honey, what a surprise." Her smile faded when she saw my expression. I sat them down in their living room, the one with Mom's crocheted Afghans and Dad's car manuals stacked on the coffee table. I showed them the letter, expecting shock, maybe tears. Instead, Mom's face paled, and Dad stared at his hands, his knuckles white. They exchanged a glance, and my stomach dropped. They weren't surprised. They knew. "Sophie, sit down," Mom said, her voice trembling. She gestured to the couch, her hands wringing a dish towel. "What's going on?" I demanded, my voice sharp. Dad cleared his throat, avoiding my eyes. "It's about Chloe." The room seemed to close in, the air thick with tension. Mom started crying, soft sobs that filled the silence. Dad explained in a low, reluctant voice. 5 months ago, Chloe had come to them, desperate. Her latest venture, flipping a mansion in Eagle, was her golden ticket, she'd said. She'd found a buyer, a developer, who'd paid $2 million once the renovations were done. But with her credit trashed from past failures, no bank would touch her. So she'd used my identity, my social security number, my driver's license, a forged signature to secure the $680,000 mortgage. Mom and Dad knew about it but swore Chloe had promised to pay it back before I found out. "She showed us photos," Dad said, his voice heavy. "The mansion's a gem worth double what she borrowed. We thought she'd handle it. I stood, my chair scraping the hardwood, my voice rising to a shout. "She stole my identity. She bought a mansion in my name, ruined my credit, and now I'm stuck with an $11,500 tax bill. How could you keep this from me?" Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away, my heart pounding. "She's your sister, Sophie," she said, tears streaming down her face. "She's been struggling. We thought you'd pull through this time," he thought. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You knew for 5 months and didn't tell me. You let her gamble with my life." Dad's face hardened. "She's family, Sophie. She's been under pressure. You've always been Faneuil, Figure this out. I felt like I'd been gut punched. My parents, who'd taught me to save, to be honest, were defending Chloe. Worse. They'd known since May 2024 and said nothing. You're choosing her over me, I said, my voice breaking. My house is at risk, my credit's destroyed, and you're worried about her. Mom's sobs grew louder. Please, Sophie, don't go to the police. It'll ruin Chloe's life. She's already got so much on her plate. What about my life? I shouted, grabbing my folder. You let her do this, and now you're begging me to protect her. I stormed out, ignoring Mom's pleas, the door slamming behind me. The drive home was a haze, my vision blurred with tears. My family, my safe haven, had turned against me. That night, I sat in my living room, the foreclosure notice and tax bill crumpled on the coffee table, my phone, a weight in my hand. I needed to hear it from Chloe. I needed her to look me in the eye metaphorically, at least, and explain why she'd done this. My hands shook as I dialed, but I forced my voice to stay steady. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and casual, like we were catching up over coffee. Hey Soph, long time no talk, what's up? Did you forge my signature for a $680,000 mortgage to buy a mansion in Eagle? I asked, my voice cold, cutting through her silence. Then, a nervous laugh, the kind she used when she was cornered. Okay, wow, straight to it. Look, I was gonna tell you, I just needed a little time, I snapped, pacing my living room, my bare feet cold against the hardwood. You stole my identity, Chloe. You forged my signature, used my social security number, and put my house at risk. My credit's ruined, and there's an $11,500 tax bill in my name. What the hell were you thinking? I'm sorry, Soph, she said, her tone shifting to panic, the charm evaporating. I was in a bind. The Eagle Mansion's a goldmine, $2 million once it's flipped. I've got a buyer lined up. Pay it back, every penny, plus interest. You won't lose a thing. You're broke, Chloe, I shouted, my voice echoing. Your bakery failed, your jewelry store tanked, your speaking gig was a joke. How are you going to pay back nearly $700,000? The buyer's legit, she insisted, her voice desperate. A developer from Spokane. Just give me a month, Soph. Don't do anything rash. And, can you cover the tax bill? Just for now. I'll pay you back. I froze, my jaw dropping. You want me to pay the taxes on a mansion you stole with my identity? It's temporary, she pleaded. If the taxes aren't paid, the deal falls through, and we're both screwed. Please, Soph, for the family. I hung up, tears streaming down my face. Chloe's audacity was staggering. Not only had she betrayed me, but she expected me to bail her out, to sacrifice more to protect her fantasy. I looked around my house, my sanctuary, with its cozy couch, my art supplies in the corner. The view of the Boise foothills, and felt a cold resolve settle in. This wasn't just about money. It was about trust, and Chloe had shattered mine. My revenge would be silent, calculated, and devastating. Jenna connected me with Lisa Nguyen, a lawyer in Boise who specialized in identity theft and fraud. Lisa was a surly 40s, with a sharp bob haircut, a nonsense attitude, and a reputation for dismantling shady defendants. We met at her office, a sleek space with a view of the Boise River, the water glinting in the afternoon sun. I brought everything, the foreclosure notice, the tax bill, my credit report, and a timeline of my parents' confession and Chloe's call. I even included a photo from a family picnic last summer, showing my purse on the blanket, the purse Chloe had rifled through to steal my driver's license. This is fraud, plain and simple, Lisa said, scanning the documents. Your sister committed a federal crime, identity theft, forgery, possibly wire fraud. We'll sue her civilly for damages and cooperate with the police for criminal charges. The bank's also liable for approving a loan with no verification. We'll go after them, too. I hesitated, my stomach churning. Suing Chloe feels personal. She's my sister, and my parents, they're begging me to drop it. They say it'll tear us apart. Lisa's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. Sophie, Chloe didn't borrow pocket change. She stole your identity, put your home at risk, and expects you to pay her taxes. Your parents are enabling her. You don't owe them silence, you owe yourself justice. Her words cut through my guilt. I signed the retainer agreement, my hand steadying as I committed to the fight, but I had another plan, brewing a silent revenge that would hit Chloe where it hurt most, her pride, her dreams, her reputation. Lisa filed a police report, and within 72 hours, detectives were at Chloe's apartment, a trendy loft she rented in Boise's North End. Chloe admitted to forging my signature but claimed I'd agreed to help her business, a lie so flimsy it made my blood boil. The police opened a criminal case, and Lisa warned me Chloe could face up to 6 years in prison if convicted. The civil lawsuit was next. Lisa filed against Chloe for fraud, identity theft, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, seeking $1.3 million in damages, enough to cover the mortgage, taxes, legal fees, and the emotional toll of her betrayal. We also sued Horizon Bank for negligence, arguing they'd failed to verify the loan properly. To build the case, I spent weeks gathering evidence, tax returns, pay stubs, utility bills, anything to prove I hadn't authorized the mortgage. Lisa's team hired a private investigator, Miguel Ortiz, to dig into Chloe's finances. Miguel's report was a goldmine. The Eagle Mansion was a fixer-upper with a cracked foundation, a mold problem, and a $40,000 lien from an unpaid contractor. Chloe had no buyer, no developer, just a trail of bounced checks and a $10,000 credit card debt. She'd been living in the mansion, hosting parties and posting selfies on Instagram, all while dodging the mortgage payments. Miguel uncovered a twist. Chloe had tried to secure a second loan in my name for $90,000, but the bank rejected it due to my frozen credit. She'd also opened the $12,000 credit card, racking up charges at luxury stores and a ski resort in Sun Valley. The audacity fueled my resolve. My revenge would target her lifestyle, her facade of success, and her hold over our parents. While Lisa built the legal case, I launched my silent war. I started with Chloe's Instagram, where she flaunted her real estate empire with photos of the mansion's marble floors and hot tub. I anonymously tipped off a local blogger, Boise Buzz, known for exposing scams, with Miguel's report and screenshots of her posts. Within days, an article titled "Is This Boise Influencer Living a Lie?" went viral, detailing her unpaid debts and the mansion's disrepair. Chloe's followers plummeted, her comments flooded with accusations, and her brand crumbled. She called me furious, demanding to know who'd leaked the story. I played dumb, my voice calm. Maybe it's karma, Chloe. Next, I targeted her social circle. I contacted old friends she'd ghosted after borrowing money, $500 from Sarah, $300 from Mike, sharing Miguel's report and urging them to demand repayment. They did, flooding her with calls and texts. Her phone buzzed nonstop, her reputation among Boise's elite shredding like tissue paper. I watched from afar, my silence my weapon. I also dug into the mansion. Using public records, I found the contractor, Tom Hensley, who'd walked off the job over the $40,000 lien. I met him at a diner, buying him coffee, and convinced him to file a lien enforcement action against the property, forcing Chloe to deal with the legal mess. Tom grinned, saying, "She's been dodging me for months. This'll light a fire." The family pressure intensified. Mom's calls turned from tearful to accusatory, blaming me for ruining Chloe. "You're tearing us apart," she said in one voicemail, her voice sharp. Dad sent texts preaching forgiveness, quoting Bible verses and stories of his own mistakes. My Aunt Karen called, lecturing me about family loyalty. My cousin Lily, always Chloe's shadow, texted, "You're jealous, Sophie. Chloe's doing big things." The guilt was suffocating. But every time I wavered, I'd see the tax bill, $11,500. Now overdue, and my resolve hardened. The trial began on March 10, 2025. In an Ada County courtroom, a gray stone building that loomed over Boise like a sentinel. The gallery was packed, reporters, curious locals, and my parents, sitting stiffly in the back, their faces unreadable. Chloe hired a slick lawyer, Paul Erickson, who exuded charisma and wore suits that screamed money. Lisa warned me Paul would play dirty, painting me as complicit. "He'll twist your past support into agreement," she said. "Stay calm." Paul's opening statement was a spin machine. He argued I'd implicitly consented to the mortgage by lending Chloe money for her bakery years ago, a $200 loan, never repaid as proof of my trust. He claimed I'd visited the mansion, a lie that made my blood boil. A few jurors, including a middle-aged man with a skeptical frown, nodded, and my stomach churned. Lisa's opening was a sledgehammer. She laid out the facts: Chloe's failed ventures, her forged documents, my ruined credit, and the bank's negligence. Sophie Bennett trusted her sister, Lisa said, her voice steady. Chloe repaid that trust with a $680,000 lie and an $11,500 tax bill she expects Sophie to pay. Chloe took the stand, dressed in a demure sweater, her eyes brimming with tears. She spun a sob story about her passion for real estate, claiming she'd told me about the mortgage at a family dinner, and I'd agreed to help. She swore the Spokane developer was real, delayed by permitting issues. Her performance was Oscar-worthy, and I saw Mom dab her eyes in the gallery. I testified next, my voice firm despite my nerves. I told the jury about the letter, the tax bill, the fear of losing my home. I described the betrayal, Chloe's lies, my parents' silence, the weight of their judgment. This was my sister, I said, meeting their eyes. I trusted her. She took that trust and stole my life. Lisa presented a mountain of evidence: forged documents, with my signature traced from a birthday card, bank records showing Chloe's $12,000 credit card spree, Miguel's report on the mansion's disrepair, and texts from Chloe begging me to pay the taxes. She called Miguel, who testified about Chloe's financial mess. No buyer, no developer, just a $40,000 lien and bounced checks. He revealed her second loan attempt, stopped by my frozen credit. The jury leaned forward, their faces grim. The bank's testimony was damning. Their loan officer, Karen Mills, admitted they'd approved the mortgage based on Chloe's paperwork without contacting me. It looked legitimate, Karen said, shifting in her seat. Lisa grilled her, exposing the bank's sloppy verification. You didn't think a $680,000 loan on a single house warranted a call? Karen had no answer. My parents' testimony was brutal. Mom sobbed, saying she'd hoped Chloe would fix it. Dad admitted they'd known since May 2024, but didn't tell me because Chloe deserved a shot. Paul tried to spin it as a family agreement, but Lisa dismantled it, highlighting their complicity. Mr. and Mrs. Bennett chose to protect their daughter's lies over their other daughter's future, she said. A surprise witness added fuel. Miguel tracked down Sarah, an old friend Chloe owed $500. Sarah testified that Chloe had bragged about using my credit to secure her empire, a slip that shattered her victim act. The jury's faces hardened, and Paul's objections couldn't stop the damage. The trial stretched over 3 weeks, each day a grueling emotional gauntlet. I leaned on Jenna, who brought me coffee, and listened to my rants. My silent revenge, the blog post, rallying her creditors, pushing the Leand had weakened Chloe's defense. And I felt a grim satisfaction. On March 31, 2025, we gathered for the verdict. The courtroom was silent, the air thick with anticipation. Lisa squeezed my hand, whispering, "You did it, Sophie. Hold steady." My parents sat in the back, Mom clutching a rosary, Dad's face stoic. Chloe stared at the floor, her hands trembling. The foreman, a woman with a steady voice, stood. "We find the defendant, Chloe Bennett, liable for fraud, identity theft, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We award the plaintiff, Sophie Bennett, $950,000 in compensatory and punitive damages." The courtroom erupted in gasps. Chloe's head dropped, her shoulders shaking. Mom let out a wail, and Dad pulled her close, his face ashen. The judge added that Chloe would face criminal charges, with a potential 6-year sentence. Lisa had negotiated with the bank. They rescinded the mortgage, removed it from my credit report, and paid $60,000 toward my legal fees to avoid further liability. The tax bill was transferred to Chloe, who'd have to sell the mansion or lose it. But my revenge wasn't done. I'd tipped off a real estate agent, anonymously, to list the mansion at a fire sale price $400,000 below its lien, ensuring Chloe couldn't profit and would owe the difference. The agent called it a distress sale, and the news spread fast. Chloe's dreams of flipping it for $2 million evaporated, her Instagram followers mocking her downfall. The blog post gained traction, and a local TV station picked it up, dubbing her Boise's flop queen. My silence had dismantled her empire, brick by brick. Relief flooded me, but it was bittersweet. The $950,000 was a fantasy. Chloe was broke, her mansion a liability. My parents left without a word, their silence a final cut. I'd won, but I'd lost my family. The aftermath was a quiet rebuild. My credit score climbed to 610, a small victory. I refinanced my house to cover legal fees, and my job stabilized after landing a major client, a tech startup in Boise, that earned me a raise. Jenna became my lifeline, hosting movie nights with popcorn and bad comedies. I met her coworker, Ryan Patel, a software developer with a dry wit, and we started hiking together. His steady presence, a contrast to Chloe's chaos. Therapy helped me process the betrayal. My therapist, Dr. Mark Ellis, guided me through the guilt, Chloe's actions, my parents' complicity, my own revenge. You protected yourself, he said. That's not cruelty. It's survival. I started volunteering at a women's shelter, teaching art classes, turning my pain into purpose. Chloe's criminal trial looms, and she's living in a rundown apartment, her social media deleted, the mansion sold for $380,000, leaving her with a $100,000 debt. My parents sent a stiff letter about reconciliation, but I'm not ready. They chose Chloe's lies over my truth. This ordeal taught me that family isn't just blood, it's trust, respect, and accountability. Chloe's betrayal was a theft of more than money. It was a theft of faith. My parents' silence was its own betrayal, favoring their golden child over me. My silent revenge, leaking her secrets, rallying her creditors, forcing the mansion's sale restored my power, not with fists but with strategy. I spent months wrestling with guilt, but every time I doubted, I'd see my house, my home, safe again and know I'd won. I'm sharing this because I'm not alone. Have you faced betrayal, fought back with your own brand of justice, or rebuilt after a loss? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more real-life tales of resilience and revenge. Let's talk about standing up, fighting smart, and reclaiming your life, no matter who tries to tear you down.